Hello everyone. So I'm Alison and welcome to our webinar, and we're going to be talking all about all things coming out of lockdown and how that's potentially affecting mental health and how it might not all be a good effect on mental health. I think we're going to have some really interesting varied opinions here, but we'll just introduce ourselves first. So yeah, as I said, I'm Alison. I'm part of the Heal Hub team, which is our service connecting young people to free mental health support. And I also work in the psychology department of the University of Birmingham. So I'm super interested in all things to do with mental health. And I have two wonderful young people with me here today. So Simra, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Simra. I'm currently the second year of my degree studying primary education. And I got some support from Lyfeproof, which is why now I help out with, some of these things because I feel like we have a bit of insight to give because we've been through it, as young people.
Yeah, Cyan?
Yeah. Hi everyone. Yeah, my name's Cyan. I'm 17 and I've also been helping out with Lyfeproof because I've experienced it as well. And I'm currently a student.
Okay, great. Oh, hi everyone in the comments. It's nice to see you. So I'll just introduce a little bit about what we're talking about today. So as we know, in the UK, restrictions are gradually being lifted. And I think the next phase of lockdown restrictions are being lifted this Monday. And again, as we all know, all restrictions might be completely gone by the 21st of June, which is really not that far away. And we know that the past year has been really, really challenging for a lot of people. And this year has just been filled with, rapidly changing events. And we've almost gotten to the point where I feel like people are sort of used to this new way of life. We're used to locking ourselves away. We're used to not seeing our friends as much. And it's really interesting because I feel like now we're kind of all going to have to get used to this new way of life, the like going back to normal when the world starts to open up again. So I thought it would be a really interesting topic to discuss and chat about because I think lots of people are going to have different opinions on it. And I just thought I'd mention this survey that Young Minds did, and they asked young people what they thought would happen to their mental health and how they would feel when we came out of lockdown. And nearly 80% of young people did say that their mental health would improve at the end of lockdown. But that does still leave 20% of people saying that, they don't think restrictions being lifted is going to have an effect on their mental health and could potentially even, make the situation worse, could bring new challenges to the table, potentially bring out things that, haven't been, you haven't needed to deal with for the past year or so. So I've just got a few questions that we're going to discuss today. So feel free to answer along with them. We'd really like to hear what you have to say. Simra and Cyan, how do you feel about lockdown ending? What are your thoughts?
So with me, I'm kind of have mixed feelings about it. So I'm kind of excited because I'm excited to go back to life as normal. Like I'm excited to go out to eat with my friends, and I'm excited to, not be going out for daily walks just as my one form of escaping the house. But also I'm really nervous. Like I am nervous, I'm not going to lie. Like the aspect of going back to social interactions, not over Zoom or Teams, is kind of scary. Like I already find it difficult sometimes to not speak over people because I have ADHD. Like imagine going from a year of being sat at home to now interacting with people in real life is really difficult. And I don't have a mute button, so I can't just mute myself when I want to. So it's a bit scary. So I'm on the spectrum of both sides. Like I feel it will be beneficial to, be able to go back to normality and go bowling and, all that fun stuff. But then also it's quite scary, leaving the house and where you're safe.
Yeah, definitely. Cyan?
Yeah, I'm quite excited in a sense because I'm going to be turning 18 pretty soon after the 21st. So I'm excited to be 18 and be able to do certain things that I've been wanting to do, like get a job that has possibly stopped me because I am not 18 yet, and do other things. So I'm excited for that. But I relate to Simra in the terms of like socially, because it is a lot from going into from lockdown, not being able to talk to many people. Even on my phone, I honestly haven't been talking to that many people anyways. I've actually deleted social media, so I haven't been talking that much. So going from that to being able to see Oh, sorry. Being able to see people is going to be quite a big jump. So I feel like that is where I will struggle most probably.
Yeah, that is going to be a big change for you. So do you think that you'll sort of ease into it gradually, or do you think you're more likely to just sort of throw yourself into everything when it first happens?
I 100%. You will not catch me in a store like Primark when lockdown is over. Like the prospect of being in a queue with people right now and like being in a crowd just seems very, very scary right now. Especially people with social anxiety. Like if you have social anxiety, it was really difficult before lockdown, and now you've been at home, with your own little bubble of people. It's going to be difficult to go. So I think a lot of young people are going to ease into it. There are some who just want to go out, party and live their best life right now. But I think people who are saying that now, when lockdown actually lifts, you'll feel like more pressure of having plans all the time. Like remember, Alex, you said before that the idea of like lockdown being over, so I have to do something every single weekend. That's a lot of pressure, and I don't have enough friends to be doing plans every single weekend with. And I don't need that kind of pressure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's something that I am already sort of like battling with in my mind, because I've always been a very on the go sort of person. So yeah, the idea of like this pressure to suddenly have all of these like amazing social plans is already like a stressful situation, which is just very strange because it's not even happened yet. But yeah. So how, in terms of how you feel about lockdown ending, how are you surprised about how you feel about it ending, or are you like not surprised?
I think Cyan was going to say something.
Yeah, I don't think I'm that surprised because I have been spending quite a lot of time alone in my room. So I can imagine that I want to get out. And also, I understand like it's understandable that I would have the fear of like going to talk to new people, or just actually people that I already know, going to do that again. I feel like that is quite expected. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think I expected to be more excited about it, but when lockdown is lifting, I will be on placement teaching full time. So lockdown lifting for me isn't really going to do much. Like I'm still going to be in full time education. So really, I'm not going to really feel it until come August, or July. So I think I expected to be more nervous about it. Like I'm okay right now, but I didn't expect to be this happy about it. I kind of was okay, being at home for a little bit. It was a kind of an escape from a reality, a bit of avoidant behavior. But yeah, I didn't expect to be excited about it, to be honest. I'm the opposite of Cyan.
Yeah, and I do think if being hidden away for a year or so has meant that you've avoided certain things, or you haven't faced certain fears that you might have had in regular life before COVID happened, then I think that could potentially be a struggle for people if they're now having to face anxiety or social anxiety or any other number of issues that that could cause like a massive change in how you feel when we suddenly come out of lockdown. But I think something that I read that really resonated with me was that people with like social anxiety and things like that, they really struggle with feeling like they have to perform all the time. And I think everyone to some extent might feel like this when we come out of lockdown, because we've not socialized as much, that the people that you feel this pressure to perform and be exciting and be funny and be interesting all the time, when in reality, when you're just with the people that want to be around you, that they don't want you to perform. They want you to just be yourself. So that's something that I think might be quite useful to like take on board. What about you guys? Have you sort of come across anything? Are you trying to think about it in a certain way?
Yeah, I think for me it was that I was always the life of the party in before COVID. So now it's like, oh my God, like, I've not been in a crowded room full of people in a while. Like, am I still gonna be that person? And it's a lot of pressure. It was pressure before COVID as well to be, the loud, obnoxiously loud one that I was. But now I've not been that person for a while. So it's like, oh, I've got to get back in my element. I've got to learn, how I used to be before, because my personality inevitably has changed during the pandemic because I've been around myself more. So yeah, social interactions are difficult.
Yeah. What about you, Sam? Are you trying to think about it in a certain way? I mean, you said you were sort of approaching it very, very positively as you can. Is there anything that's sort of like helping with that?
Yeah, I've just before I do maybe have a day of social interaction and see my friends. I usually would like to do something to go for a beforehand, just do something that I can feel at peace with to begin with, and then probably go back and do another thing afterwards after I've had that social interaction to come again. That is the plan for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a really good idea. Like trying to do things so that your normal life doesn't change really drastically, even though it might feel like the world is changing very drastically around you. I think that's a really good way of looking at it. So, in general, would you say that you think you'll find it easy or difficult to adjust to life after lockdown? I think for me personally, I think I will find it a bit of a shock at first, but I'm the sort of person that does tend to get used to things quite quickly. So I'll just sort of like accept what's happening, and I'll be like, okay, this is happening now. But I know for other people, it might be a bit of an adjustment. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm excited, but I feel like it is gonna be a shock to my system. I'm gonna have to like go back to going to uni every day and going back to one placement, or all that good stuff. And even though I'm looking forward to it, it's still a bit of a frightening prospect because obviously COVID anxiety is still very real, and I still do live with people who are elderly, so it is a bit of a it gives you a bit of anxiety, doesn't it? Especially how the world's been. It's not going to go away immediately. So it's going to take time adjusting. For me personally, I think it's going to take me a bit of time to get used to getting back in the rhythm of life and, figuring things out.
Yeah. What about you, Cyan? What do you think? Do you think you'll find it easy or hard to adjust to life?
Yeah. I did some work to try and adjust back to normality, I think, definitely. Because I've made and my hardest to probably space out how social I'm going to be. Like if I'm going out with a friend on a Saturday, I need a couple more days and then go and visit somebody else to just to make myself feel better and more comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely sounds smart. So I guess moving on to something a little bit more positive, what are you guys most looking forward to about lockdown ending?
Pizza Express. If they don't go into liquidation, I'm really, really, really looking forward to Pizza Express. Their pasta is just amazing. So hopefully, food places. I love going to eat food places. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Yeah, any form of place where you go and sit down and you have a meal, that is going to be great.
Yeah, it's underrated. We took it for granted before COVID, like going to a cafe and getting a coffee and just sitting there for a little bit. All these things that we didn't even realize were luxuries now are like, oh my God, I'm so excited to go grab a Starbucks and just sit there. So yeah, the small thing.
Yeah, you're right, actually. And I think appreciating the things that you haven't had for so long that you now suddenly have. I think that's going to be really nice. And I think I'm going to try and like hold on to that appreciation as we sort of continue into normal life again. I'm going to try and, you know, say to myself, I didn't have this for a whole year. I couldn't just, you know, go to a friend's house because I wasn't allowed to. So I'm going to try and, yeah, hold on to that.
I agree.
Yeah, Cyan, what about you? Is there anything you're particularly looking forward to?
Oh, my pictures just fell. It's fine.
You've got
Show
to
me.
go. I think we're having a bit of internet connection issues with Cyan.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, so in terms of...
yes, sorry. Can you hear me? It's cracking up quite a lot.
Yeah, that's better now.
Okay. Anything I'm looking forward to? I am looking forward to perhaps, hopefully, celebrating my birthday, like you guys were saying.
Yay.
Food side, I would love to go for a meal if I can. And I'm also excited to do social things in a different kind of way. I would like to, I'm thinking of trying to volunteer to do since December when I decided, but I got stopped and said when you're 18. So now that I will be 18, I'll be hopefully will be able to go there, go to that a lot.
Yeah, that would be great. So yeah, Laura's just asked, do you think people will suffer from social emotional burnout quicker, trying to meet everyone and attend every event? Yeah, I think that's true.
I can already feel the burnout, and we're not even there yet. Like, going back to work as well. Like, I'm a waitress, part-time, so the idea of like going to work and then coming home is kind of also overwhelming. People have been stuck in lockdown, and especially if you've only been with your own family for this time, and your family's quite small as well. The idea of like talking to people for a while is kind of exhausting after, you know, a few days. It'll be, I think the thrill of lockdown ending will wear off in a few days, because we'll be like, actually, I want to be on my own for a little bit and I want to just stay in my room. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the way to sort of deal with that is to try and like practice self-compassion as much as you possibly can, and to realize, you know, you're not going to be the same as you were in February 2019. But like a lot has happened in the world. A lot of people have gone through very difficult times. A lot has changed in our lives, and to just try and take the pressure off yourself as much as possible. Like, you don't have to be doing everything all at once. You don't have to be doing the same things as other people around you are as well, which I think is something that people struggle with, you know, especially with social media and us comparing ourselves to each other constantly. So I think that's something really important to keep in mind. I agree. People will overcompensate. So is that in terms of people will sort of try to do too much all at once because they are, you know, wanting to make up for all of this lost time? Is that something you can relate to?
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna overbook myself a bit too much. Like, I'm gonna tell someone I'm gonna meet them, and then tell someone the same day I'll see you, and then I'll be a bit like trying to fill all my little boxes. But it's a bit difficult, because also everyone's gonna want to see you straight away, right? Like, your friends are gonna be like, oh, well, I want to see you, well, I want to see you, and then it's hard to also say, oh, well, actually this week I'm just gonna, you know, ease myself into it and not see you maybe. But then also, you don't want to be horrible because you haven't seen anyone for a while, so it's a case of like figuring out how to nicely say, actually, I need this time to myself a little bit, like, it's been a busy week, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of lockdown as a whole, has it taught you anything about yourself? Have you learned anything specific?
I've learned too much about myself, that's what I think.
Ooh.
No, I know myself too well now. So if I was to go out into the world, like I'm just gonna be really blunt. Like if someone is like, if I need to go home at a social event, I'm just gonna say I need to go home now. And even though it might not seem like a big thing before, I would have just like stayed for however long everyone else was there, and I would have just like, even though I was exhausted and I was tired, now I kind of know my own limit, and I kind of know myself better to know like now I'm tired, now I need to stop, or I need this time for myself now, or I need to go on a walk, or I need to write something down because I feel sad or upset. I think lockdown has forced us to come to terms with every single part of ourselves, even the parts that we maybe didn't want to face, like the anxiety or the depression or the bad thoughts or anything like that. We've been forced to come to terms with it and forced to face it head on. So I've learned that I need to talk about how I feel and not just ignore it, because when I'm busy in life, I tend to just ignore everything, like ignore how I feel. But coming out of lockdown, that isn't possible now because I'm forced to face my own feelings. So that's important.
Yeah. And do you think that, living with your family during lockdown, do you think that's helped with the setting boundaries and things like that?
I'm not gonna lie, when lockdown first started, I thought we were all gonna kill each other. Like 100%. I was convinced someone was gonna not leave the house at the end of lockdown. I was just convinced that someone was just gonna get murdered in this house. Like we were at each other's throats. It was just clashing of heads because we're all such strong personalities. But we've learned how to live around each other. And I never thought I'd be able to say that like a year ago when lockdown started. But we have all learned how to deal with each other. And we all just walk away when we annoy each other now, because it's easier than arguing with each other. But it has helped a lot because now I know. So now I know that if my auntie doesn't text me back after 9 p.m., it's because she's put her phone on her phone stand and she's gone to sleep. And if I try to call her, she's not going to answer it. Like there's no point in even trying. So we have those firm boundaries now, like what time is her own or what time is my own, or what time not to talk to my parents or just let me do my own thing. Definitely.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. I guess you don't really think about lockdown in terms of the positive experiences that it can bring, but I think for a lot of people it has done. I don't know if I've learned anything monumental about myself, other than I don't know that I can be on my own,
Yeah,
which I guess is also quite important.
definitely. And we didn't really know that before lockdown, did we? Like you're just surrounded by people all the time, avoiding being on your own, but now you have to be on your own. So it's good.
Yeah, definitely. I never thought I would be the sort of person that went out for walks on my own for fun, but now I do.
No, who thought there'd be a time in life where we'd be told to only leave our houses once a day? Like no one ever thought that would happen. But again, I never thought I'd get along with my family like I do now. So I guess changes can happen. People do change.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Um,
true.
yeah. Were you going to say something? Sorry.
Oh, I think it's the internet.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
guys hear me?
Being at home, that's annoying.
Hello?
We can hear you, but I think it's very delayed.
I won't miss the internet connection at home. That's one thing that I won't miss.
Oh, okay.
So we've got a comment
Well,
here. So it says,
I did learn
oh,
something
sorry.
throughout this lockdown. What I learned was how to assert boundaries, because when we are living, it's kind of like we're all together. I was together with my mum and my stepdad, and we're all at the house at the same time. So you just need to learn to respect each other's boundaries, and also learn how to communicate well and communicate what you need from each other, because that's what you need in order to survive lockdown, I think.
Yeah.
And also, for me personally, was that I don't always need to be so critical of myself. And even though I do feel like that's one of the best things about me, can also get quite bad at times, but it is really valuable. But I learned that I don't always need to be so critical, and there's a time to analyze what you're doing, and there's a time not to do it. So yeah, that's what lockdowns me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And yeah, again, it's good to hear that, you know, you've learnt something and you have gained something from a very difficult and very stressful time as well. So this comment says, can we touch on dating, as I absolutely love dating? What impact will this have on others in terms of their need to feel loneliness? This is super interesting. So, yeah, I don't know, because I think the world of dating has changed a lot over COVID, because I don't think video call dates ever used to be something that really existed, and now I know that that's how a lot of first dates happen. So I wonder if that will like continue into the future. And then yeah, as people have become, I guess, lonelier this year, I wonder how that's going to affect how people, you know, go into the next year or so with their dating lives. What do you guys think?
I think that it's going to be harder today, I think, personally, just because lockdowns kind of forced you to face yourself a bit more. And I just feel like I have more, I have very firm boundaries now, and I have very firm expectations of what I expect from someone if I was to go out there and date now. So now I'm not like willing to like settle for anything. So it kind of makes it more like, and I know some people are going to be, you know, very enthusiastic to get out there, you know, start dating, start meeting people. Whereas for me, I'm going to be more critical of everyone, which is not the best thing to be, but it's true though, because lockdown has forced us to come to terms with everything in our own lives. So very critical of everyone rather than, you know, being open. I think I'm going to be very enclosed as a person.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess that feeds into, you know, you learning things about yourself over the past year and how that's then changed your mindset about how you approach like all sorts of different situations as well.
I agree.
I feel people might be more anxious to get back out there and date. That's super interesting. I hadn't really thought about that as much. I think I just thought people would be wanting to like jump in straight away because they haven't been able to date, you know, face to face for a year or so. But yeah, maybe some people will feel, you know, anxious as they will about normal social situations.
Yeah.
We now know what we want and we love ourselves enough to be critical, I guess. Yeah, I think that's true. Although I imagine for some people it's really taken a knock to their self-esteem potentially if they've not been around, you know, super loving and supportive people for the past year, you know, people who live on their own or people who don't have that really supportive like family environment. Maybe they are now going to struggle more. I don't know. I think it's everyone's just going to be affected so differently.
Yeah. I think each person will adapt to it differently as well, and each person will. I think as it comes as well, like we can't guess what it's going to be like. I have no idea what it's going to be like when we leave. I think it's just taking one day at a time and knowing that it's okay to take one day at a time. You don't have to think all the way ahead right now. You know, it's okay to just take it for today and today only.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what you know, if you speak to any counselors or psychologists,
that's what.
Yeah, that's what they all say, that, you know, you just need to take it one day at a time, if at all possible, and think about, you know, where you are at the moment and try not to think so far ahead, and also to try to not predict the future, which I know is really, really difficult. But it's even more important in such uncertain times, I think, to try not to think, what if this happens? What if this happens and then this happens? Because you don't know, do you, whether these things are going to happen?
I agree.
Can you relate to that at all? Sort of thinking about the future and thinking about things
Yeah,
that haven't
lockdown
happened yet.
Oh, sorry. I feel like I keep on jumping in because it's cracking up. Sorry about that.
Don't worry. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I feel like what I said was that lockdown really taught us to go with the flow and just see what's going on in the exact moment and just do the best that you can with that and do the best that you can in the right now, and instead of stressing about the future.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's easier said than done, but it's something that's personally has really helped me, to just think about the day in front of you and, you know, what you have to do in that day, or just thinking about the week in front of you and not trying to think ahead to, you know, months in advance, especially as you can't really plan anymore, because of the state of the world and everything. So yeah, I think that's probably something that everyone can take from this.
Definitely. One fatal flaw in my character is thinking too far ahead and getting stressed out about things that aren't going to happen anytime soon. And it's been hard to say to myself, stop, like just stop, like just stop thinking and just deal with what's in front of you right now. Like this assignment's due today, so do it today. Don't worry about what you've got to do in a year's time, or you know what's going to happen next month. It's not today's problem, and that kind of helps me, you know, ground myself a bit, like actually telling myself to stop and you know just think about it. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's difficult.
Yeah,
It's easier said than done, I think.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, if anyone watching this, you know, is struggling with thoughts about what's going to happen when we come out of lockdown, you know, I guess try as much as you can not to worry about it, because you know that's in the future. I always say to myself, that's a problem for future me. You know, I just need to focus on me today in this moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, in general, I think it's really useful to think of things like that. Has lockdown taught you anything else about yourself? Do you think you've gained or, you know, lost anything from it?
Yeah, it's been an up and down lockdown, I guess. But one thing I've learned is that I lie to myself a lot. Like at the beginning of lockdown, you know that there was that expectation to like bake, to learn a new language, to do all these different things. I would say to the old me, stop lying to yourself. You're not going to work out tomorrow because tomorrow has led to a year later and we're still here and I've not done one day of the workout that I promised that I would do. And I would just say that I've learned that if I don't do something in the moment, I'm not going to do it. And I need to just be realistic with my goals and aspirations rather than like saying, oh, well, I'm going to do all these things. But it's okay not to do everything. Like, it's okay to just do what's in front of us right now rather than, you know, take on the whole world.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. And I think that's a very sort of rational way of looking at life and like how you move forward, especially at the moment when things are so uncertain and potentially up in the air. Yeah, I think that sounds like really good advice for sure.
Be realistic with yourself. Don't lie to yourself.
Yeah. So yeah, I've just sort of got one more question that I was interested in asking you guys. So it's a little bit, I don't know, a little bit more abstract. So if you guys could speak to yourself this time last year, what would you say? And if anyone watching wants to answer in the comments as well, it'd be really interesting, because I was thinking about it in terms of what I would say to myself in, you know, March 2019. And I wasn't really sure. I don't really know if there was anything that I could say that would like help or like prepare my past self for the next year. But what advice would you give yourself, do you think?
I think I would say to myself, if it doesn't help you grow, if it doesn't help you be happier, if it doesn't help you become a better person, then let it go. like just tell myself to, stop holding on to things that you want to be there, and be okay with being alone. Like, don't be scared of yourself. Like, I feel like I was very scared of being on my own as a person. Like, I didn't know myself very much, but I would say you're not as scary as you think you are. Like, it's not that bad to be on your own, and it's okay to be scared of it as well, but stop running away from the idea of, just having yourself. It's okay to just have yourself. That's what I would say to myself.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you can tell that you've done a lot of introspection during lockdown, which is nice to hear.
Yeah, I have a lot of spare time to do that, so yeah.
Yeah, I would say buckle up. It's going to be a long journey.
True, very true.
Yeah. I tell myself to stop giving myself too high expectations, set realistic goals. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely relate to that. Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, Simra, I think there was so much of an expectation, especially in the first lockdown, to be really productive and use this time wisely, which, just didn't make any sense when our main task was to make it through.
yeah.
Like this situation that we hadn't experienced before. I would say you've got this. Don't underestimate your ability to tackle all the hurdles to come. Trust yourself always.
Really good advice from the comment section today.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of trusting yourself, because I think that can be quite a difficult thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I agree. Being alone was daunting, but honestly, it's needed. And I love me time now. That's good.
It's important to enjoy the time you have with yourself, because at the end of the day, who do you have the most? Who do you spend the most time with? It's on your own, isn't it? So I think it's really important. I think lockdown has forced us to learn how to love ourselves a little bit more. I think that's the one main good thing that's come out of this, is that we've been forced to figure out how we feel about, things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think this time last year, if I'd had to spend a day on my own, by the end of the day, I would be feeling quite sort of down, like, and very, I don't know how to describe it, sort of just like I hadn't done anything if I'd not been around people that day. Whereas now I sort of treat it as, an opportunity to do what I want to do and to focus on myself, which I think is important to do every once in a while. I would say I'm a gorge human. I can do anything because I'm that amazing. Yes, we love that. Self-love.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
I love that.
You will always have yourself. Yeah, definitely.
You guys are quite me, but wanted to share like what I would have liked to say South last year. And that was probably that I should try, and those deep beliefs that I have in therapy, I feel like I really should have questioned them, because they weren't my own, and it's just things that you probably hear that I within my own community and stuff that I should have really questioned, because I feel like when I really needed help, I should have went out and got it, whereas I overcame me 20. So I feel like I would tell myself just to not be afraid to just ask for help and just communicate what you need with people.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Yeah, that's a really good one. And do you think that that's something you've managed to learn throughout lockdown?
What did you say? Sorry.
Is that something you've managed to learn more throughout this year?
Yeah, I took action towards it, and I definitely learned that it's just to ask for help, and there's no shame in that. Just ask for help if you really do need it. Yeah. Because you're not going to have the answers all the time. Nobody has the answers, and nobody consistently has all the solutions to life. So it's no problem. Just knock down, not completely knock down, but question your ego 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I really like that. I just wanted to answer this question. Do you think we might have less patience for people now?
Me before lockdown. I don't know how it's going to be after lockdown. So we'll see what happens when people try to talk to me.
Yeah, I think this is just me. I think that I'm going to have more patience because lockdown has made me more irritable. Like, I never used to be someone that would get annoyed at little things, but during lockdown, I think just because like the stress and the emotions of it all, I was more irritable with people around me. So I'm hoping when, things start to settle down and become a bit more calm, that I will have more patience. But I don't know what your experiences are with that.
Fingers crossed. When we come out of the lockdown.
100%. I think we've learned so much more patient now. Lockdowns helped us become much more mindful and understanding. Yeah, that's a really nice way of looking at it, I think.
I think also everyone's been through it now. Like, we've all been through this global thing where we've all struggled to some extent. And I feel like it's kind of normalized the fact that people do have mental health problems, and we do have mental health. Mental health is a thing, and I feel like because of that, we're more okay to say to people, well, actually, today's a bad day, or I'm struggling right now. And then we're more mindful of how we treat people because we understand, because we've now been through it. Because before, not everyone could say, oh yeah, well, it's been difficult for me, but now I'm kind of on the same field. Everyone's been through it. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I really agree. Hopefully, as a society, we can sort of use this horrible experience for something good in the future. Whether that's just being like more kind to each other, like appreciating our social bonds with each other a little bit more. I really hope that good things can come out of it in the end, and we'll have our roaring 20s decade, hopefully.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone that's watched. It's been really interesting. It's been really great to see all of your comments and everything. Yeah, thank you. And thank you so much to my lovely guests as well.
It's okay. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. So yeah, thanks guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you are struggling with your mental health and you want to get involved in some of our activities with Lyfeproof, it can really help to talk to people that have gone through similar things. You can, interact with people who are, of a similar age that you might not have met before. We do lots of cool stuff. So yeah, you can see our contact details. They've been rolling across the screen very professionally. So yeah, you can go and follow us, or you can email us if you're interested in doing anything with us as well. So yeah, it's been fantastic. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.